This has been another design-heavy week, but I've also implemented several new features. In this episode, I'll go over what's new, some new ideas, and the broad strokes of what still needs to be done. I've thought a lot about design goals, and decided on a simpler approach for crew. Instead of two types, all crew now cost an upfront amount plus a percentage of your mission payouts. The upfront amount is to encourage you to keep your crew alive instead of letting them die and replacing them with no penalty, and the percentage is so that crew costs continue to rise as the game gets harder, without the tedium of granting pay raises. Crew costs and fuel costs are now shown in the contract details, so you know how much profit or loss you'll get up front. Vacation has also been implemented. It essentially takes a crew member off the game board for one mission, but they still get their cut of the payout. Another detail I'd like to call out, even though it isn't new, is that crew you dismiss continue to exist and gain experience and change stress level over time. You might see them available for hire again in the future. I've also made progress on crew equipment. Every unit now starts with a shield that slowly recharges hit points, and both shields and weapons are dropped on death. Your crew can compare and swap shields and weapons, but for now they're all identical. That's something I'll probably work on next week. In the meantime, you can make some extra money by selling dropped equipment while in a station. Perhaps the biggest change this week is to the contracts and travel system. There are now 10 locations, although most of them currently look identical, though I have added some new placeholder art for main channel headquarters and a place called Yex Naru. I've made a map to help position these, and the distance between locations determines fuel cost. Each contract now has a specific origin location, and you now have the option to travel to other systems with available contracts without taking a contract to do so. I still have just a few contracts written up, but I've got big plans and a major design change about how contracts will become available. Instead of a reputation system, I want the contracts to tell a story over a 100-mission timeline. The region is dominated by megacorporations that have supplanted all other forms of government. Treaties have established some shared laws enforced by a semi-independent and semi-corrupt organization called the Enforcers. I don't want to spoil the whole plot, but war breaks out and you can be directly involved, from delivering weapons and medical aid to extracting defectors or spies. That means sometimes you'll be defending passengers instead of cargo. I might end up changing the name again at some point, and I'm open to suggestions in the comments. One idea I'm especially excited about is also telling bits of story through news broadcast displays in the various stations. You'll get a different slant on the story depending on where you go. Ideally, I'd like to make this a branching story, where the missions you take and whether or not you succeed change the outcome, but this might become a stretch goal. Speaking of which, I think I'll be taking this game to Kickstarter in the next few weeks. I've been treating this as a full-time job, but I don't currently have any income. This project is a big gamble for me, and successful crowdfunding would give me a lot of peace of mind that I can keep doing this long term. I probably have enough in my savings to finish this game without it, but I've been down that road before. When I finished my last game, I was practically broke, and lots of people pirated it, but we barely had any sales. Over the 8 years it's been out, we've made probably enough money to pay 1 month's rent. It was heartbreaking. Needless to say, I hope this game does better, and I'm hoping Kickstarter can help. Today I've taken an inventory of what still needs to be done in the game. Big items include AI improvements in differing enemy types, writing the story content through contracts and news displays, more playerships, a shop system for trading up and buying equipment, implementing new equipment like cloaks, different weapons and shields, cutscenes and scripted special events, passenger transport missions, ship customization, UI and visual enhancements, playtesting, and preparing for release. All in all, I think there are about 4 to 6 months of work left to do, but I also want to leave room to act on new ideas, especially from Kickstarter backers. So I'm aiming to release the game before the end of 2019, but games usually take longer to make than you expect, so only time will tell. In the meantime, thanks for watching. I'd like to build as much of an audience as I can leading up to the Kickstarter, so if you'd like to help, please spread the word. Maybe share these vlogs with a friend. Or if you'd just like to watch and see where this goes, please consider subscribing. Thanks again.